All right, how are we all? We good? It's Saturday, so well done for turning up. Okay, so I'm honoured to be joined here by some incredible women, all doing their best to represent the industry and push the industry forward. It's obviously a win-win as we all do better, then everyone does better together, both the industry, the Philippines, and globally. So that's really on show here today. And of course, there's another partner, of course, who aren't on stage today or right now, but Payoneer. So it's incredible to see all of these public bodies, private associations, and private companies all come together for the benefit of the outsourcing industry. So there's incredible resources here. So I'd like to start maybe with introductions, and of course we'll maybe start with Emmy. If Emmy can just outline what the DICT does and some maybe projects that help contribute towards the outsourcing industry.
Thank you, Derek. It's great to see you again here. Derek and I were together during the Philippine Online Freelancing Conference in Iligan. It's really a great event. But first of all, magandang umaga po ulit sa inyong lahat. So I'm Emmy Delfin. I head the ICT Industry Development Bureau of the DICT. Because unknown to many, or very few only know that DICT has an equal mandate of ICT industry development and actually bringing ICT opportunities to the countryside, which is countryside development. People think that the ICT is just about providing digital infrastructure, but equal mandate is ICT industry development. So one of the core missions of the ICT is to ensure the growth and development of the ICT-enabled industries, resulting to the creation of more jobs. So I emphasize more jobs. So that's basically the reason for being of our bureau, which is basically to support, help develop the ICT industry. So for many years, we've been supporting, working closely with IBPAP, CCAP, and as mentioned earlier, that it's actually our bureau that's handling the Digital Cities program. So basically bringing IT BPM jobs outside of Metro Manila. And however, should I continue? I have a very long introduction. And as mentioned earlier that, there are a lot of parameters for a city to become a digital city for investors to locate outside of Metro Manila. So talent, very important, talent availability, infrastructure availability, cost of doing business, business environment, and risk management. However, we know that there are hundreds of cities, but right now we only have 26 cities that are locating, that are hosting IT-BPM locators. So as you know, there are 1.4 million jobs, IT-BPM jobs in the country. 400,000 of these jobs are outside of Metro Manila. And it's good that the goal is to be able to bring more than 50% of those jobs outside of Metro Manila, because as we know, I'm not sure if Cherry's here, so every year we produce 500,000 graduates, but 75% of those graduates are coming from outside of Metro Manila. But I think right now 60% are working in Metro Manila. So people, the graduates, go to Manila, Cebu and Davao just to look for opportunities. So the goal of the Digital Cities program is really to bring those jobs to where the people are. However, I'm not finished yet because we're talking about the outsourcing and online freelancing, and we've been, first of all, I would also like to thank Payoneer, Miguel and Jen. We've been working closely with them in terms of promoting the online freelancing in the country. I know if BPO industry has 1.4 million jobs, I think the online freelancers in the country is around 3 to 4 million Filipinos already in the online freelancing industry. So the reason why I said that I'm talking about the online freelancing, because we know that there are municipalities, provinces in the area, in the country that cannot really host BPO locators because of those parameters that I mentioned. However, there are a lot of great talents in those rural areas. That's why we are promoting the online freelancing industry, meaning they can work from home, they can be with their families without going abroad. That's why our version now, Marge, it's OFW version 2. OFW version is overseas Filipino workers. Version 2 is only Filipino workers. So, so those are the things that we're doing in DICT, aside from digital infrastructure, digital government, but equally important is, of course, improving, bringing opportunities, not only of the BPO industry, but only freelancing industry, and now emerging technologies. So those are the things that we're doing in the ICT, really supporting the ICT industry.
Thank you, Emmy. And now we have CJ of the Clark Investment and Locators Association. Obviously, a lot of you are from Clark and are very familiar with Clark, but it really is an incredible ecosystem here, as Miguel mentioned at the beginning, incredible growth that we're seeing here, futuristic IT business parks, and a huge amount of outsourcing going on here. So it's a real hotbed of growth. So CJ, introduce, I suppose, give the quick elevator pitch on Clark and then what CILA does to contribute to that.
Okay, first of all, good morning. I'm really happy to be part of this event. And we also brought here with us two from our secretariat team. We have Rosel and Reg joining us also. So basically, CILA is Clark Investors and Locators Association. It's a group of businessmen. It's a group of investors and locators inside Clark. Right now, we have a membership of 247, and we're really happy that we represent almost 90% of the total investments and manpower here inside the Clark Freeport Zone. And the goal of CILA is really to help our investors and locators feel that they're not alone when they do business here inside Clark. Clark is not just Clark City. Clark is not just a place here in Pampanga. Clark has built a name of its own, and Clark is a brand of its own. Because when we talk to our members, they tell us that, especially foreign members of CILA, they tell us that if your location is inside Clark, it's a premium in itself, and they're really looking up to members or business entities who are operating inside Clark.
Thank you. So, Rosario, we have already heard and had insights into the fantastic work that CCAP is doing. Can you, maybe for the Clark audience specifically, how can CCAP engage with Clark, or vice versa, the Clark industry engage with CCAP for mutual benefit?
Yes, first of all, I always believe that you have to hear the voice of the customer. And the voice of the customer of CCAP are the locators and BPO companies like yourselves and the freelancers and so forth. We need to understand your pain points in doing business. So by understanding your pain points, we could represent that voice to the government and other enablers to make your investment and doing business in the country seamless and a better experience in investing in the country. Because you're giving a customer experience, we have to give you the experience of doing business seamlessly as much as possible without any hurdle. So we become your voice in that aspect. And the other way we can collaborate, as I mentioned, is working, of course, with the ICT, the government sector, and we're going to different provinces, and there has been really an alignment in terms of the vision. Thank you so much. And we've heard the talk of the DITC. You are our major partner, to be very honest with you. Of course, everybody is an enabler. And with CJ here, who is the center of the membership, and you are helping them. And we were talking together. She said, hey, we're also lobbying for a work-from-home policy to become more a permanent solution rather than a band-aid solution. So why don't we work together and being the collective voice to present the business case? So our meeting here doesn't stop here. We will meet further on in order to put together a stronger business case to the government and to other enablers how to make things happen in the Philippines.
Can I just add something to that? Because currently CILA has been advocating for the retention of all tax benefits that's been promised to you guys when you entered Clark. There's a new law, it's called the CREATE law. It's corporate recovery and tax incentives for enterprises. And basically, locators in Clark were affected by this law. So what CILA is doing through our board of directors, they're trying to lobby, they're trying to reach out to as much people from the government who could help us in order to get back the same benefits that were promised to you guys. And we've been reaching to the executive through the Department of Finance. We've been reaching also to congressmen who can help us. We're lobbying for resolutions or maybe something which they can be filed in the House of Representatives and do a hearing for this, because definitely this made a huge impact already on you guys, especially on the VAT payments, etc. Your finance people would know. You can ask them the impact of this CREATE law, and we're really pushing for the retention of all the tax benefits that's promised to everyone.
Jerry, can I also add to that? Because you asked about how CCAP is supporting Clark. Siguro I can just mention that, so I mentioned earlier the Digital Cities program, but there are actually 3 classifications of cities under the BPO parameters. One, we have the Centers of Excellence, and Clark is one of the 6 Centers of Excellence, so Metro Manila, Cebu, Davao, Bacolod, Iloilo, and Clark. So we talk of Centers of Excellence. The city has more than 30,000 full-time employees in the BPO sector and hosting at least more than 5 to 10 major BPO locators. So Clark is one of the 6 Centers of Excellence. So we work closely with an ICT called Metro Clark ICT Council. I'm not sure if they have representatives here from Metro Clark ICT Council. And then, so that's the first-tier city, and then we have the 7 next-wave cities that include Baguio, Dumaguete, Laguna, Cavite, Batangas, and others. So next-wave cities naman, it has more than 10,000 full-time employees and at least hosting 5 major BPO locators. And then we have the 31 digital cities, which we actually announced in 2020. There are 31, and those are the cities that, either they are hosting 1 or 2, but a lot of them don't have yet any major BPO locators. So the goal is to be able to bring jobs, and we're glad to hear that the next target is to be able to generate 1.1 million jobs in the next 6 years. So there.
If I can just reinforce about,
Do it.
you were talking about CREATE law. It is the same one that we're also talking to the government. So I think what's very important that various stakeholders are talking to them, and it's good that we are singing the same song, and that's very important, and to collaborate, and I think we really need to meet further to make the voice even louder.
Thank you. So there's obviously a lot of agreement on the CREATE law, and there was a lot of controversy with all that coming in. And all of these agencies are working hard to represent the industry, doing the hard work so that you guys don't need to. In terms of the industry is quite unique in that all of the clients, they're not here, they're overseas, they're somewhere else other than the Philippines. And the Philippines has to do a good job, but one of those jobs is about attracting. How do we attract, how do we get their attention overseas and have them come here instead of a different destination? So I suppose if each of you can maybe talk to your perception of where the foreign interest is, whether it's interest, employers or investors, and what we can do to better that in the future. Emmy?
Well, of course, as mentioned earlier, it really we need a lot of collaboration. We have that acronym called MAGIC, Making Academe, Government, Industry Work, because that's the only way to go. I know there are some challenges mentioned earlier, like upskilling, reskilling, or people promoting as one Philippine brand. So for DICT, one of our support to the industry is marketing and promotion. So we bring Philippine delegation in partnership with IBPAP being the umbrella association of all the BPO companies, of course the subsector associations like CCAP for the health HEMAP, so animation and game development. So Right now we know, but I have to refer to Ms. Rosario about those potential investors. Of course, the biggest one is US, we have Europe and Asia, but being in the government, we always actually follow as to the needs of the industry. So we follow their expertise, and of course, in terms of upskilling and reskilling, because aside from CHEDEP and TESDA, it's also a mandate of the ICT. It's capacity development for ICT talent. So we can also come up with our own curriculum and courses to serve the needs of the industry. And in fact, if I can just also share that I know there are some disconnect or mismatch between the industry and the graduates that they produce. So we're coming up with a Philippine Skills Framework for the BPO industry to make sure that the curriculum, the courses are really driven, industry driven. So we make sure that, of course, we will have to always step up according to the needs of the industry.
CJ?
Yeah. Just for an added information, in Clark, there's a total of close to 125,000 employees inside. So out of the 125,000 employees, there's 31,115 ICT employees, which is like close to 25% of the workforce. Out of this, there's 26,447 employees who belong to the BPO workforce. So that's how large the employment sector is for the BPO industry alone inside Clark. And I think the reason why we can always entice foreign investors to come in to the Philippines or in Clark per se is because of the attitude also of Filipinos. We value our work. When we work, we're not just thinking of the things that we do inside the office. Because when we work, we're thinking of our families. Because the reason why we work is because we have a family to feed, we maintain the status that we have currently, and that's the reason why we value the work that we have. And I don't know, we have foreign investors here, they can attest to that. We value so much our work to the extent that our work becomes also our family. We tend to equate that to our family because this is our source of income for our family.
Thanks, CJ.
Just to focus again, as Madam has mentioned here about the upskilling of people, just to let you know that there has been many initiatives already done by the government on upskilling, and that has to be recognized. Okay, there are at least 6 programs, if I'm not mistaken. I don't memorize them, but there are 6. What is important is to tie them up all together to become a cohesive and a stronger program for upskilling. So there is a lot of initiatives already happening. Now, when I was asked to join CCAP, they asked me, how can you contribute to grow the industry of getting new investors? Because there are current investors now, and the ask that we ask you is to expand it and stay with us. And in your budget for 2023, 2024, 25, 26, 27, 28, be more aggressive so as to help. Now, how about the new investors? What I told, of course, the typical one is we go out on trade promotions with BOI, DTI. Those are the standard ways that is happening. But what I told CCAP is that I used to chair the Philippine-Swiss Business Council, and our objective is bilateral trade relations, which is a mutual benefit between 2 countries. Now, I don't know if you're aware, under the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, there are business councils bilateral. There's Philippine-Swiss, there's Philippine-USA, Philippine-Israel, Philippine-Iran, Philippine-India, Philippine-Vietnam, Philippine-Japan, all of that. Their objective is always bilateral trade relations. And I will make a point that I will speak with all of these business councils to put the IT BPM industry as their #1 promotion of the Philippines. So by collectively, we will get the global market by doing that.
Thanks, Rosario. So the IT BPM industry is at the pinnacle of technology and skill acclamation, I suppose. It is getting more competitive by the day. It used to just be basic call centers and basic CX. Now it is, it's everything across the board, every professional skill. The Philippines has to stay competitive. Now there is some pressure in terms of training, on education, on getting the young kids into the skilled roles that we need. Where do you see the challenges of the Philippine outsourcing industry, and what are some of the opportunities in those challenges? Emmy.
Okay. Yes, I would say that yes, we have to step up. We know we're #1 in the world since 2010 in terms of the voice or contact center services, but it's also a challenge for us to step up. I know that if there's 1.4 million jobs in the BPO industry, 900,000 of those jobs are in the voice-based services, and I know we have to step up. We have to go to higher value segments, and even embracing now, we've been hearing a lot about emerging technologies like blockchain, AI, AR, XR, VR, and all of those things. I know it's really a challenge, but at the same time exciting, and it's actually up to us, no? The government, the academy, the private sector. As mentioned earlier by Mr. Rosario, we cannot really just be complacent, right? There are a lot of countries that are also competing with us. Really have to step up. So in terms of, yes, infra development, talent development, have one branding, but I really agree that we really have to step up, embrace those digital transformation. Even in government, we have to embrace digital transformation in terms of the way we do business, we serve our customers, the public's, the public service. So we really have to do those things.
Fantastic. Rosario?
Rosario, yes. I think first and foremost, we need to continue to become agile. You need to anticipate the future trend. And I always believe the definition of agility is you create the demand, be ahead of the market. So even though it's not yet there, create the market. And to create that market is being ready for tomorrow, like the talents, the infrastructure, and so forth. And I just want to repeat, the trends that is affecting the industry are in these following areas. The AI-driven talent management is one of them. So that is a trend. So technology will play a major role in that. The cloud shoring is another trend or already existing that we need to prepare. The question is, do we have the skills and the technology to compete with the world? So we need to be agile and move very fast on that. The business process as a service, services to be offered, like the accelerators and things like that. The agent hubs are very important, meaning, there's the small micro businesses must be also catered. You think CCAP is only attracting the Accenture of this world, the SGS of this world? No, we're looking at the small micro business as well. You need help to grow, and we want to help you grow. So that's another thing that we must understand that is going on the trend. The other trend is the emphasis on agent assist, virtual assistants and things like that. Are we ready with that? So we need to prepare for the future. We don't probably have that major space yet. How are we preparing and to be agile? And of course, the Internet of Things and growing focus on environment, social, and governance are the key strategies we need to prepare.
Thanks, Rosario. So I think we only have a couple of minutes left, and if anyone has any questions, I think we're going to take questions afterwards. So there's an incredible panel here if you have any questions about anything. CJ, just building off of what Rosario said, what do you see as the future opportunities as the industry evolves over the next 5 or 10 years? Where do you see the puck heading to, and where are the opportunities for this industry in that?
Okay. Currently, the BPO IT industry is the 3rd largest in terms of investments here in Clark, already as it is. And the first being manufacturing and the second is tourism. I think with the total investment of almost more than 5 billion in the IT industry, we're looking at Clark as a destination for others who have not yet experienced the what it is to be locating or investing in Clark. And also, looking forward, they might be able to surpass the ranks of tourism and manufacturing industries, because BPO is not yet a fully tapped industry. There's a lot more to explore in this type of industry, because really what the BPO industry is doing is removing all the other activities inside your organization so that you'll be able to concentrate on the things that would really matter to you, like, you know, other backdoor services. Those are not the things that you're supposed to concentrate on, and you better give them to this BPO industry so that you'll be able to do or make money, or, you know, concentrate on marketing probably, and those things that really matter inside your corporation.
Fantastic. Emmy, with the ICT always moving so fast, where's it heading to?
You know, actually, we always consult the industry as to the kind of support that we'll have to extend to them. And since last year, we've started receiving, and blockchain companies have actually started reaching out to us, asking about how the government, particularly the ICT, can actually support the Web3 blockchain companies, and how the Philippines can play a significant player in the blockchain space or the Web3 space. So we know we've been supporting the BPO industry since I started joining the DICT Work Commission on ICT in 2007, so working with IBPAP, and I know it's going to grow. That's why the projection is to be able to generate a total of 2.5 million jobs in the next 6 years. And we're focusing right now on our support to the online freelancing industry, not only for individual freelancers, but really encouraging Filipinos to become homegrown BPO owners. So like Marge here is very successful, having her own BPO company. So not just being able to depend on major BPO players, but really encouraging Filipinos to become entrepreneurs, to become homegrown BPO owners, and be able to do like multiplier effect in terms of employment, employing fellow Filipinos as well. So I know there's like almost $500 billion in the opportunity in the online freelancing industry. I'm not talking, so that's separate for the BPO industry. And so going back to the emerging technologies, it's another opportunity as well, big opportunities in the Web3 and blockchain. So in all of those things, we have separate programs for each sector. So we have LIFT, we have Digital Cities program in partnership with IBPAP. We have EDGE, so EDGE stands for Empowering the Global Workers in the gig economy ecosystem in the Philippines. And Payoneer is one of our partner, and soon we are going to partner, because I have not finished reading your book, but I know there's a trend about global employment. So it's a combination between work from anywhere, but you're not a gig, you're just project-based, but really regular employment. So that's what we also want to understand, and how we can actually support that kind of, you know, opportunity and trend. So recently, we have also launched our program called SetPH. It's about supporting the emerging technologies, but I know all of us, especially government, we have to understand first, so what is really blockchain? Because there's still a lot of negative perception that, that blockchain is just about crypto, but actually blockchain can be used for different kinds of services, use cases, so those things, IoT, AI particularly. So we have started going around the country, but the past year we've doing online, promoting, advocating about what are those opportunities and what are the skills needed, what are the jobs. So those are the things that we've been doing together with my team, with me here are Cha and Joyce. We left Manila earlier at 6:38 just to be here, of course, for the love of Miguel and for the industry as well. So we've been really heavily supporting the industry. All our programs are industry-driven. Every end of the year, we always sit down with associations, asking them, okay, how can we work together? How can we support by funding? Those are the things that we've been doing in DICT, aside from, digital infra and digital government.
Thanks, Emmy. It's a bright future. So I just want to end this panel. I want one word from each panelist describing the outsourcing industry in their mind. From Rosario, mine, you can't copy mine, mine is exciting. What is your word to describe outsourcing? One word.
Orgasm.
Wow. CJ, can you top that?
Impact.
Impact.
I wanted to borrow your exciting word, because to me that's really, for me is the relevant word. Exciting, because there are a lot of opportunities in the ICT industry, BPO, emerging tech, and online freelancing industry. So I have to borrow that word, exciting.
I just want to qualify the orgasm. Intellectual orgasm.
Nice, better. Okay, so I think we're going to hand it over to the host now, and I think there's going to be questions.
Yes, so we do have great questions, but before any of that, thank you for a great panel discussion. It's really, I think we have to take note, it's so refreshing to have an all-women panel. How about a big round of applause for this, please? It's so refreshing to see this, an all-women panel, a true testament of Payoneer's advocacy for women, diversity, and leadership. And thank you so much to Derek for leading the panel. So we do have a bunch of questions from our audience members. They sent them in anonymously, and you can answer if you feel like you'd like to add something. But this is for Emmy Lou. This one goes: how can we be a part or a member of these associations for outsourcing, for freelancing businesses like us? So go ahead.
Okay, thank you for that question, because we always welcome collaboration, partnership. So actually there are several umbrella associations. For BPO industry, that's IBPAP. That's the umbrella association of all the major BPO companies in the Philippines. And IBPAP has subsector associations. So there's an association for contact center, and Ms. Rosario here is the president and managing director. And then healthcare information management for HIM services, that's HIMAP. For software industry, that's Philippine Software Industry Association. For animation, that's Animation Council. Game development, so Ms. Rosario mentioned those things, but I'm not sure if the question is really about how can they be part of the online freelancing industry.
The association.
The association. So we are working closely with the online freelancing industry right now. There's no formal umbrella association of the online freelancers, right, March? But there's a FOPSCO called Filipino Online Professionals Cooperative. Is composed of freelancers in the country. And for those who would like to be linked up with them, we can, of course, you can talk to us, you can approach us. Depends on the kind of association or sector that you would like to be connected with. Of course, there's also different organizations in the blockchain space. We work closely with them, so just let us know. Of course, we're more than willing to introduce to those associations. And if you want to partner with the ICT, we're always willing to collaborate. No, so there.
Thank you very much for that, and this is why we're here today. We can take advantage of Emily being with us here today, so for whoever it was that asked that question, perhaps you can approach her when we network later on. We do have another question for DICT. What is the stand of DICT when it comes to the investing in the metaverse, okay? Given the nature of it, which is still obscure, and with the previous exit scams happening to a lot of metaverse-related ventures, how can DICT protect investors from these security issues?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Actually, even us in the government, in DICT, we need to understand first, before even promoting that, advocating that, and endorsing that. You know, metaverse, that's why, so we have a program called SETPH, Stimulating the Growth of Emerging Technologies in the Philippines, and metaverse, Web3, blockchain, AI are those part of that particular program, and there are actually components in that particular program. One is institutional development or ecosystem development, because first we have to understand who are these companies and what are the opportunities. So basically building the ecosystem first, understanding the ecosystem. So that's institutional ecosystem development, and then we have advocacy and promotions, because we have to first do some information awareness campaign. Even us in the ICT still need to understand that further. Actually, I would have to honestly say that I'm not an IT expert on metaverse, so that's why together with the industry partners on metaverse and Web3, we've been working with them. We have a program called Tech Trends. We'd like to invite everyone. It's a self-development program that's the goal is to be able to really understand metaverse, blockchain, and those emerging tech that I mentioned, from understanding basic information to intermediate information and advanced information. But I would say that it's very new. So I think there's really a need first to really understand that. So that's where we are right now in the ICT, together with my team. In fact, for next year, we'll be having around different roadshows, advocating those emerging tech, metaverses you mentioned. And right now, we are gathering the key players in those space and encouraging them also to create an organization, just like the BPO industry. They have one voice for the industry. And in that particular space, we also want to work closely with the key players to be able for them to tell us how can the government actually support them, promote the industry. So, there.
Thank you very much to Emmy Lou for that question. We have another one for Rosario this time, and this goes: BPO employees are being tagged as people who have no choice and they are uneducated because BPO companies are accepting people who did not go to college. What is your take on this?
I think it's a very unfortunate way of branding the Filipino talent. What we want to happen is that the high school curriculum will be changed to make them digital ready. So that then, what we're trying to say is upskilling them through the curriculum. So please do not think that they have no choice or we have no choice but to approach them. Okay, there are two things here. BPO companies are investing on them to upskill and be really contributor to the economy. And that's very important to know. It's the real fact of the situation. High school graduates is not yet digitally ready 100%, but the companies who have invested in the country are willing to invest in the Filipino talent. So I hope that the brand wouldn't be in that way. That's why we're also trying to help at the curriculum to be improved for the future graduates, while the companies who have invested here is upskilling the current workforce so that the gap is lessened and hastened to be available by 2028.
Thank you very much. So it's really going to be a change within the mindset and also to the stigma ultimately, and then it will help us in what we want to accomplish, which is really help upskilling and education. So thank you very much to the individual who sent that question. And we also mentioned that the CCAP would like to help the startup BPO companies. You mentioned this earlier. So how can the CCAP actually help these starting BPO companies? Go ahead.
Okay, but I just want to further comment further on the talent. Do not think that it is we have no choice, for example. You have to understand the Filipino talents have the right attitude. When we hire people, it's aptitude versus attitude. No matter how intelligent you are, but if you do not have the right attitude, we will not invest in you. So that's very important. And you said, how do we help the the emerging companies? How we help the emerging companies is we are deliberately targeting the small and micro businesses to help you. We are not just targeting the Accenture of this world to increase revenue and expand. We want you to grow. You know, with the pandemic, The growth of the micro, small, medium enterprises has become the driving engine of the economy. We should not overlook that. So we are deliberately looking at you and we'll be approaching you how to help you. And there are so many other accelerators or enablers, like Payoneer is an enabler. You know, Payoneer is an enabler. If I have a previous colleague who suddenly just last year created job for a lot of nurses in the Philippines. You know what? Serving US market of nurses who are in the Philippines, okay? And now he has 80 employees in 1 year. And how are you invoicing? I asked him, you're a foreign client. And so I was talking to Jen, I said, this is a company you may want to help. So we want to connect you with the small, micro businesses because we want them to be able to have the currencies serving the world.
Thank you very much. We hope that answers your question. You're not just seen, you're actually you're being approached. So to everyone who sent in their questions, we hope that we were able to tackle them, and later on we will do more of the Q&A. But right now, how about another round of applause, please, for our panel? Thank you very much as well to Derek. Speaking of SMEs, we're actually going to be getting into that in a little bit, but let's put our hands together, please, for our beautiful ladies on stage who have shared their insights with us as well today.